Hey there everybody, it's Matthew Seville here, and I am in the Grand Canyon, and it just stopped snowing, so I thought I'd record a quick video to start off a new series about photography myth busting. And the first myth that I want to bust, or I don't know, maybe it will bust me, is about UV filters. I have here a plain old UV filter. I've got a bunch of different ones here in my Fish Bomb lens pouch filter pouches. And what I want to discover is whether or not using UV filters actually degrades image quality. Everybody always talks about this, how it ruins your images, it makes them softer, what this and that, and I want to know, is that really the case? So we're going to use mirror lockup, we're going to use tripods and all that stuff. We're going to try and take perfectly sharp pictures. I'm going to do some with the filter on, filter off, try a couple different filters, and we'll see what happens. Good news, everyone. UV filters do not horribly affect your images, especially for color and contrast and even sharpness. I found it impossible to see a difference with or without a UV filter. And I almost suspect that with a UV filter, if it's a good quality one, your images look even a little bit clearer. I'm not sure. I was shooting in a snowy condition to do this test, but I feel like having a good quality UV filter, you have almost nothing to worry about. Now I said almost because there is one situation in which you can have a problem, and that is lens flare. And unfortunately, I'm not talking about the good kind of flare. I'm not talking about that warm, beautiful haze that you get in those late afternoon romantic portraits that you want to shoot. I'm talking about those ugly, ugly flare dots that show up in the worst possible place in your image, and they just look terrible. And by the way, it's not just the sun that causes this type of flare. Especially if you have a prime lens, you have to watch out when you're in low light indoor lighting situations, because depending on what overhead lamps or whatever there are, you could run into some serious problems. So when you're shooting in general situations when there is not nasty weather, I actually recommend not using UV filters simply because of the flare issue, although I will use a UV filter in a situation indoors if I'm very well aware of it. What I prefer to do, however, actually, is use my lens hood. A lens hood, in my opinion, is way more protective of your lenses than a UV filter is. If you drop your lens on concrete, the UV filter will shatter and possibly scratch your front element, and the metal will ding, and you'll have to go through all the rigmarole of unscrewing the broken UV filter. I've seen it happen a lot. People say, oh, my lens was protected. I'd rather have a lens hood because a lens hood is plastic. It's not going to shatter and smash and scratch your front element. It actually really helps to protect your lens, even against hitting concrete. But anyways, if you go on outdoor adventures to inclement weather where it's snowing or raining or there's a sandstorm or a dust storm, I highly recommend that you do your front element a favor and own a good quality UV filter for whichever or as many lenses as you own that you might be shooting in nasty outdoor weather. I don't know about you, but when I'm shooting in the rain, I wipe my lenses down sometimes with my shirt, my t-shirt, or just a lens cloth that I have laying around, or a towel, because I'm shooting and I'm trying to get the shot and there's water hitting the lens and I'm just wiping it down and shooting and wiping the lens off and shooting. You don't want to be doing that to your front element, let alone sand or dust. Having a UV filter on your lens allows you to shoot in bad, nasty conditions a little bit more easily. Even if you ruin that UV filter over the course of a year or 2 years or 3 years, it's so much better than damaging your front element. Anyways, that's my final verdict on the subject of UV or protective filters. They will not harm your images in most shooting conditions, and I highly recommend owning at least 1 or 2 for your lenses. Even though I don't use them all the time myself, I do prefer to use lens hoods. So that's it. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time with more photography myths and stereotypes. Take care.